Chapter 5. The cases in which a sacrifice must be offered are the following. If someone is called as a witness but does not say what they saw or heard, then they will be guilty and deserve punishment. If someone by carelessness touches anything unclean, like the dead body of an unclean animal, whether wild or domestic, or an animal that crawls on the ground, then that person will also become unclean and will be guilty. If someone, by carelessness, touches something unclean that comes from a person, whatever it may be, they will become unclean, and as soon as they realize what they have done, they will be guilty. If someone, without thinking about what they are saying, makes a vow to do something, whether good or bad one of those vows people make without thinking, then they will be guilty as soon as they understand what they have done. Therefore, when someone is guilty of any of these things, they must confess their sin, and bring to God the Lord an animal as a sacrifice to take away the guilt of the sin they committed. The animal must be a sheep or a goat. The priest will offer the animal as a sacrifice to obtain forgiveness for the sin the person committed. If someone cannot afford to buy a sheep or a goat, then they must present to God, the Lord, two turtle doves or 2 young pigeons as an offering to take away the guilt of the sin they committed. One of the birds will be the sin offering, and the other will be a burnt offering. The person will give the 2 birds to the priest, who will first offer the bird that is the sin offering. The priest will break its neck without removing the head and sprinkle one side of the altar with some of the blood. Then let the rest of the bird's blood drain at the base of the altar. This is the sin offering. Then the priest will offer the second bird as a burnt offering, as the law commands. In this way, the priest will offer this sacrifice to obtain forgiveness for sins, and the person will be forgiven. If someone cannot afford 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, then they must bring 1 kilogram of the best flour as their offering to take away sin. They must not mix oil or incense with the flour, because it is a sign offering. The priest will receive the flour from that person, take a handful, and burn it on the altar on top of the food offerings presented to God, the Lord. And this is a reminder that the whole offering is given to God. It is a sacrifice to take away sin. In this way, the priest will offer this sacrifice to obtain forgiveness for the sin that the person committed, and they will be forgiven. And, just like in the case of grain offerings, the rest of the flour will belong to the priest. God, the Lord, gave Moses the following orders. If someone, without meaning to, commits the sin of not giving the sacred offerings that belong to God, the Lord, then to repay the debt, the person must bring a ram without defect to offer to the Lord. The value of the animal will be calculated according to the price list used in the sanctuary. The animal is a sacrifice to take away the person's guilt. In addition, the person must give to the priest the sacred offering they failed to give, plus 1/5 more. The priest will take the ram given to take away guilt, and will offer it as a sacrifice to obtain forgiveness for the sin the person committed. In this way, they will be forgiven. Someone, without meaning to, sins and disobeys any of God's laws, doing what is forbidden. They will be considered guilty and must be punished. And to take away their guilt, they must bring a ram without defect to the priest. The value of the animal will be calculated according to the price list used in the sanctuary. The priest will offer the animal as a sacrifice to obtain forgiveness for the sin the person committed without meaning to, and they will be forgiven. They are guilty of having sinned against the Lord, and this offering is to take away their guilt. Chapter 6. The Lord gave Moses these commands for the people of Israel. To remove their guilt, a person must make restitution and offer a sacrifice, if they offend God, the Lord, in the following cases. If someone keeps what was given to them for safekeeping, fails to return a deposited item held as payment for a debt, steals something from someone, acts violently against another person, swears falsely that they did not find a lost object when they actually did, or commits any similar offense. To clear their guilt, whoever commits one of these sins must return what belongs to the other person, or repay the deposit, or return what was gained through violence, or hand over the lost object they found, or make whatever other restitution is required for the false oath. On the day they offer the sacrifice to remove their guilt, they must give the other party the full value of what was stolen, plus 1/5, and offer a ram without defect as a guilt offering. The value of the animal is to be calculated according to the sanctuary's valuation table. The priest will offer the sacrifice to God, the Lord, to obtain forgiveness for sin, and the person will be forgiven for any sin they have committed. The Lord God commanded Moses to tell Aaron and his sons these laws about burnt offerings. The burnt offering must remain on the altar all night, and during that time the altar fire must stay burning. After the fire has consumed the offering, the priest dressed in linen undergarments and a linen tunic will remove the ashes and place them beside the altar. Then he will change clothes and carry the ashes to a clean place outside the camp. The altar fire must never go out. It must always remain burning. Each morning the priest will add wood to the fire, arrange the burnt offering on top, and burn the fat from the peace offerings. The fire must never go out on the altar. It must always remain burning. These are the laws about grain offerings. The priests will present grain offerings to God the Lord in front of the altar. One of the priests will take a handful of the flour mixed with oil and incense and burn it on the altar as a memorial to present the whole offering to God. The aroma of the offering is pleasing to the Lord. The priests, who are descendants of Aaron, will receive the rest of the grain offering. From the flour of the offering, they will make unleavened bread and eat it in a holy place, in the courtyard of the holy tent. They will not use yeast to make this bread. This portion of the grain offerings that belongs to the priests is holy, because it was given to God the Lord. So are the offerings for sin and guilt. All male descendants of Aaron have, forever, the right to eat that bread. It is their share from the food offerings presented to God the Lord. But a disaster will strike anyone else who touches these offerings, for they are holy. The Lord God gave Moses these laws about the ordination of Aaron's descendants as priests. When a priest is ordained, he will present to God the Lord 1/10 of an ephah of flour, as in the daily grain offering. Half will be offered in the morning and half in the evening. The flour must be mixed with oil, and the bread must be baked on a griddle. Then the bread will be broken into pieces, and the priest will present it to God as a grain offering. The aroma of this offering is pleasing to the Lord. This is a permanent law. Every descendant of Aaron who serves as high priest will do the same. This offering must be completely burned as a sacrifice to God the Lord. No part of a grain offering presented by a priest may be eaten. The entire offering must be burned. The Lord God commanded Moses to give Aaron and his sons these laws about the guilt offering. The animal used as a guilt offering must be killed in the presence of God, the Lord, on the north side of the altar, where the burnt offerings are slaughtered. This offering is extremely holy. The priest who offers the animal may eat the meat in a holy place, in the courtyard of the holy tent. But a disaster will strike anyone else who touches the meat, for it is holy. If any blood from the animal accidentally splashes onto a person's clothing, it must be washed in a holy place. Any clay pot in which the meat was cooked must be broken. If the meat was cooked in a metal pot, the pot must be scrubbed and rinsed with water. Any man of a priestly family may eat the meat of this sacrifice, for it is most holy. If the blood of the guilt offering is carried into the holy tent to obtain forgiveness, the meat of that animal must not be eaten, but must be entirely burned.